Hello, welcome back to the Wolf Den. I am the Wolf, and I am outside again. But I am back to answer more questions about the Adventures of Battlin Rog, my year-long D&D campaign that I finished up last month. Now, if you didn't see the last video, basically I asked my players to essentially interview me, ask me questions about the game, about the campaign, anything like that, and I will answer it. Excuse me. And I will answer it honestly. Now, I made a mistake in my last video. I forgot to credit Melissa. So the artwork that you're going to see in these videos was done by the amazingly talented Melissa. A lot of them, I'm going to say a majority of the drawings and pictures that you're going to see were commissions, and then some of them she doodled on her own. But she was paid for some of the artwork. Well, it's true that I believe friends support friends. You definitely support your artist friends. So if you have artist friends and you want them to do artwork for you, pay them. Definitely pay them. And so Melissa was paid for her commissions, some by me, some by some of the other members of the group, and then the ones that she did of her own free will, she wasn't paid for. But I'm going to link her Instagram and her Patreon down below, so that you can check her out and possibly get a commission yourself. But with that being said, I got my hat and I got my questions. 4 more today and 4 more the next time. I think I have 13 questions, so we'll probably do like 3 videos and then 3 videos of 4, or 2 videos of 4, and then the third video we'll have 5 questions, if I did my math right, which I probably didn't because I am a criminal justice major, not a math major. Alright, anyways, here goes the first one. What was your most favorite... Okay, wait. What was your most favorite moments to sit back and watch your players roleplay a scene? From Melissa. Ooh, man. There was a few. Maybe I'll give 3 of them. I'll say they're my top 3, but they're in no particular order. I guess maybe I'll try to order them, but I'll give 3. So the first one I would say is okay, so this comes towards the end. Battlin Rog has confronted the warden and they're ready. So their whole lead up to this through the entire campaign, and then reinforced heavily the last couple of months, is that they need to destroy the warden and remove her evil from the world, and they can't hesitate. But when they met with the warden, she gave them an ultimatum. She said, you can let me kill one of you, and then I will go with you quietly, or you can attack me and I will destroy this world once I've finished with you. And in that moment, the characters began not necessarily arguing, maybe debating, maybe arguing about who's going, should they sacrifice themselves? Is it worth just letting the one person die? How can we know we can trust her? If is she gonna keep her word? And Reyna, who at the time was in control of Anj. Anj is a paladin of Apollo. Says that he'll die, or yeah, he'll die. I hesitated on the he, mostly because of the way that Reina described the character of Anj as being gender ambiguous. However, Reina did use he to refer to him, or refer to Anj. So, anyways, Anj decides that he'll die. He says, "I will do it," and that didn't happen. Unfortunately, there was a fight broke out, but that was I wasn't even DMing. I was just letting them go, having in character discussions, and yeah, it was. I kind of thought in my mind, I was like, I think it'll be Anj. If Reina takes Anj, Anj will do it because he's the paladin. Anj was also in control of Keta, who was the rogue. So I didn't, maybe the rogue would have done it, but I don't know. Oh wait, no, Keta was dead by that point, so she would have had Joy, Anj, or Lily. Lily was a monk, Joy is a fighter, and then Anj being the paladin. But yeah, yeah, definitely that's one of them. The other, let's see, the other two. Oh, yes. Um, it was more of a scene that I was describing, but it was the conversation afterwards. So Keta is a very complex, probably the most complex character I've had to deal with. Not in terms of attitude, but in terms of backstory and things that Keta has been through. Again, played by Reina. Um, One of the things is Keta has been resurrected several times, not in the course of the story, but in the course of Keta's life. Has been resurrected several times, and the players make their way to the city, the kingdom city of Blue Jewel, a kingdom that I created, and it was Keta's hometown. And she felt a calling to a graveyard, where she found a headstone that said Jasmine on it, and she was entranced and took her finger and traced over the name Jasmine. And as she was doing that, I was describing flashbacks and like memories of a long lost life that even Keta had forgotten about, and things of that nature, up until Jasmine's death. And so it was right after that as her finger stopped tracing the name Jasmine. And one of the other characters, I believe it was Owen. Owen, played by Jeremiah, had gone with her, and so they had a conversation, very short one, but a very interesting character moment. So that's definitely one. A third one, I don't know. The last two were kind of deep. Let's see if I can think of a funny one. Um, Actually, no. Again, I'm gonna go with another kind of dramatic one. Um, it's a little, maybe it's a little biased because it's my character. I don't know. But I was playing a character named Nox, a half orc monk. And at this point, I wasn't DMing. Jeremiah was. Um, excuse me. And Nox had left her home in a dwarvish kingdom again. So this was in a homebrew world that I made, and it had 5 kingdoms in it. Nox was, even though she was a half orc, she was an orphan, and so she grew up in Somerset, the mountain kingdom of the dwarves. Um, and she had trained with her mother, who was a blacksmith, her adoptive mother, who was a blacksmith, trained her how to, smith and all that good stuff. Learn how to make swords and armor and stuff like that. And Knox also during that time picked up skills in leatherworking and jewelry as well. But also Knox really liked fighting, and so, you know, obviously she is a monk, so she began fighting and training, and then there came a time when Knox began training with blades, and her mother offered to train her in the same sword style, which at this point escapes me. I can't remember what it was. I think it's called Ironheart, I want to say. So she was like, Val, Knox's mother, had said, well, I will train you to use Ironheart the way I do. And Knox refused. Uh, Knox then left home and began training with the elves, and she trained in the elvish sword style. I think it's song sword or sword song or something to that effect. Um, and so she returned home during the time of the Contest of Champions, I believe is what it was called. Um, and so it is a huge battle royal tournament, essentially, and Knox's whole motivation was there to, one, defeat the competition, but then go one-on-one with her mom and, prove that, she could handle herself. And the reason, it's like, I am now like a full grown woman, because at this time, Knox was 25. She had, she had her training. She kind of betrayed her mom, not, anything super harshly, but, refused to learn her fighting style. And so she was there to fight. And Knox made it to the top 3, which I kind of figured I would. I was like, yeah, I'm good at this. But Knox actually lost the tournament, and so did her mother. And that destroyed Knox. So it wasn't like a moment of sit back and watch. It was more, I'm active in this moment, trying to portray and process the type of emotion that Knox is feeling, while also interacting with the other characters who were just, for them, they were just having fun at a tournament, whereas Knox was there to prove herself, and she ultimately failed. So those are like 3 favorite moments of roleplay I can think of. I don't know if I could list them in any order. No, well, maybe. No, yeah, I really couldn't list them. They were super good. I liked them. Did I put that one back? No. Okay. Well, anyways, that was. Oh, maybe I did, because that. No? Did I? Okay. I lost a question. I don't know what I did with it. Well, anyways, we'll move on, and we'll go ahead and ask the next one. I swear, if this is the... No, okay. What was it like having other people DM your campaign in a world that you built from scratch, from Raina? At the time, it was a relief. I had been DMing for nearly a year at that point with no chance to play. I think the last time I played, up until I started letting people DM my own campaign, was at a New Year's one-shot that Raina and Jessica and her husband, well, I don't know if all three of them invited me to it, but like Raina invited me, and then Jessica and her husband were there, and I think that like that was New Year's I got to play, and then I went all the way without playing again, just straight DMing. And before that, I was just straight DMing. So it was a nice like break. I got to play for a while. I got to explore character Nox, which I need to explore again because she is very interesting, and I didn't get a whole lot of time with her. But you know, I was okay with it, and there was a reason. So Raina and Jeremiah DM'd part of the Adventures of Battlin Rog. And the way that it was set up is the place that they were at was Concordia, which, yes, is the name of the moon of Mandalore and Star Wars. I'm a huge nerd. And then there were 5 kingdoms of Concordia. Blue Jewel, the middle kingdom. To the north was White Fur. To the south is Mornbrook. To the let's make sure I get this right. To the east was Moonlight Night. No, yeah, east, and then to the west was Somerset. And so those 5 kingdoms and cities made up what was known as Concordia. And so the way that I let them DM is Jeremiah first had it, not first, but had, what is that word? Shown interest, although straight up just asking me, can you teach me how to DM? But had shown interest in DMing, and I had a conversation with Raina one time as like a brief passing. I was like, hey, you should DM. And she's like, yes. And I was like, oh, okay, no problem. So what I let them do is they can choose any of the 5, well, they can choose any of the 4 kingdoms. And the reason they couldn't choose the 5th one, which was White Fur, is because the other four kingdoms I had explored before. I had DM'd all 4 of them. And so I kind of knew how, you know, how those kingdoms play out. I know the rules, I know the culture, all of that kind of stuff. But I hadn't done White Fur yet. And the reason is because White Fur was a higher level kingdom. So if you go at a low level, you'll die. Obviously, I kind of warned them about that. I did say, like, it's your choice. You're more than free to go there. But if you do, you're going to run into high level monsters and you will probably die. So basically, I just texted them both and I said, hey, pick a kingdom except for White Fur and the ones that we've already been to, and you guys can DM them. You know, and because you guys worked with me, I had no problems with it. Like I said, it was a relief because I got to play again. But since you guys were working with me and like, hey, is this okay? Can I do this? Is it all right? You know, all of that kind of stuff while respecting the world that I've built. Yeah, I had no problems with it. It was great. So the word I would use is relief. Oh, we're getting down. We only got a very few questions left for this episode. Whoa, this one jumped out at me, literally. Oh, I moved my thing. So anyways, let's go ahead and look at this one. Oh, okay. What was the creative process behind creating the sessions? From Tim. Oh, and I think he also said, like, planning session to session. Okay, that's an easy one, kind of. Basically, what you want is you want a framework. You want to have a story, and then you fill it in from there. But you don't have to fill everything in. Excuse me, unless you work for Wizards of the Coast and you're putting out an adventure, then yeah. But if you're homebrewing, you're doing a small little game, you don't really need everything. What you need is the basis, and then you work from there. What do I mean by that? Well, take the show Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? You have, excluding where Katara. Okay, let's just go from the top. It's um, earth, water, fire, air, right? The four kingdoms live together in harmony. But everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Right there. You stop right there. There's your framework. Four nations, they live together in harmony, but everything changed when one nation attacked and plunged the world into a war, right? So there you go. You have your framework. And then you start filling in from there. Okay, well, the characters are from the Earth Kingdom, for example, and they're Earth Kingdom soldiers. And you want them to be doing small private missions on behalf of the Earth King. Yeah, it was Earth. Well, Earth King was a figurehead. Whatever, doesn't matter. You want them to do missions from the Earth King, and they go out and do little things. So from there, you have your framework, and you start filling it in, right? And essentially, you want to get, I don't know, 2 sessions done, but you want to have 2 sessions figured out before you start your campaign. Basically, session 1, introducing everybody, getting everything set up. Hey, you work for the Earth, you're in the Earth Kingdom army, you work for the Earth King, and you're going to be going out and doing these special missions for the Earth King. And so that's what you have set up for them. And then to expand further behind the scenes, what you don't tell them is, okay, well, your goal is eventually to get to X, right? Like, let's say a military base, and you want to destroy it, because with that, the Earth Kingdom can move their soldiers in on the Fire Nation. Session 2 is getting them there. Excuse me, I keep burping a lot. I don't know why. Well, maybe it's the drink I had earlier. Non-alcoholic, but anyways. Session 2 is you get them there. But you have a flow chart. You don't railroad them. I need you to go destroy this Fire Nation base in the north, and then your characters start heading south. And you go, okay, well, now it's in the south. And then they just get there. And they're like, what? No, you let them have a flow chart. Like, okay, do they need to destroy the Earth, or the Fire Nation base in the north? Yes. Here's how they get there, right? Do they go north? No. Okay, well, here's how they get brought back, essentially. So basically just have 2 sessions done before you get started. Have your framework, fill it in, have the flow chart of what needs to get done and how they need to do it. Have plans for if they succeed or they fail. And there's just a lot of note taking, essentially. Essentially, you think of the story that you want them to follow, and then you note it out. I don't say plan it out, because your plan's going to go down the toilet no matter what. You can hand your players your plan and say, follow this, and they won't. So you don't plan it out, you note it out. You have notes and story beats where you want them, and you just drop them in when they need to get back on track. So, for example, destroying the Fire Nation base. A great way to do that is to add a time limit. You have 3 days to destroy the Fire Nation base, and if you don't, they're going to expand and come destroy us, or whatever. Things like that. So you have those 2 sessions planned. You go in by the time you get to session 2, you better have your next 2 and your next 2, and so on and so forth. Or if you're running a module, just read it the night before. Then that's very easy. You just read it the night before. Okay. Last question for today's episode. If you DM another campaign, do you plan on incorporating Battlin Rog? And if so, how might you? Jeremiah wants to know that one. Yes, I am planning on DMing another campaign. Am I going to incorporate Battlin Rog? Yes. How am I going to do that? Well, for starters, the campaign is going to start on Battlin Rog. which is the home base of Battlin Rog. It's an island that they were gifted and made their own home. I don't know how I can incorporate every member of Battlin Rog, since this story is going to take place 70 years later, and a lot of Battlin Rog is going to be dead. Some were humans like Anj and Joy. Others like Owen, who was a Goliath, don't live very long, so he would also be dead. I think Kanye as well, as a halfling, they don't live very long. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they don't. Nox is a half orc, but she gets a cool monk ability. So, we'll see. Aisling has got that druid ability, so she definitely is alive. Some of the other characters were elves, and so they can live a long time. So I don't know how I would incorporate the actual characters, but definitely the new set of characters know about Battlin Rog, know about their heroic deed, and are actually excited to be on Battlin Rog, where they're actually being trained at, or they were trained. I don't want to give too much, because I don't want my new group to see this and go, oh, okay, so that's what we're doing. Little notes, but basically they're being trained in Amberwood Academy, which is basically the Assassin Brotherhood from Assassin's Creed. That's one of my favorite franchises. So clearly that's in there. But well, it takes inspiration, I should say. But of course, as the members of Battlin Rog know, Amberwood Academy was taken over by Lily. That sounds forceful. She became the headmaster of Amberwood Academy. The Concordia headquarters was destroyed, and by the grace of Tam Lin and the other members of Battlin Rog, she was able to open another one. Open another one on Battlin Rog. So definitely there'll be like statues and monuments, and maybe some because they have a bard's college. Maybe there'll be some songs. I don't know. If any members of Battlin Rog is watching this and you're musically inclined, poems, songs, send them to me, and I'll use them in the campaign. There is a bard's college, so why not? Other than that, I don't know how I would get to some of the other characters. I know Aisling lives a long time because she's a druid. So maybe Aisling can be in there talking to people. But yeah, other than that, besides the starting taking place on Battlin Rog, and maybe some poems and music, I'm not sure how else I would incorporate them into it. But that is all for today. I am all out of questions. And I've been the Wolf, and I look forward to howling with you again next time.